This is a production of Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker.
The Ball Report with Jacob Warren, and we get right to it. First, I'll tell you about Vassy Lawn and Garden. And Vassy, I can tell you David Vassy is one that wants the Tennessee and Alabama rivalry to continue. That's what we'll be talking about today with SEC spring meetings in Destin, Florida. But Vassy Lawn and Garden, man, when it comes to new equipment, pre-owned, whatever the case may be, or service, they have it all. They have been there and open for 6 days a week, year round, and they have the top of history decades that you would expect out of someone who gets great customer service. And they've got the Toro brand Toro count on it. Over 20,000 parts in stock, 0% APR for up to 48 months. So, Jacob, let's get right to it. The SEC spring meetings. Well, first of all, how are you, sir?
I'm very good. How are you? Summertime. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, I'm well. It is summertime. Summertime's nice. Summertime means SEC spring meetings in Sandestin, Florida. A lot of big time decisions to be made that I know are several levels up, both of us. But when we talk about the Tennessee-Alabama game, that's one that I believe will be preserved. But with two teams in Texas and Oklahoma coming in, I think anything's kind of up in the air a little bit. So how important being a guy whose dad played at Tennessee, his family's played at Tennessee, plays at Tennessee, and is raised in East Tennessee, how important is that rivalry?
Yeah. Obviously, I think that, at least to me, I'm obviously the other fan bases, it's different, but that's one of like the staple rivalries, right? And the staple matchups in SEC, and has been for years now, right? It's good dates back. So like since my dad was playing, like you said. And I think just as like someone that's from here too, obviously it's huge just because that game is so exciting for so many people, and so everyone's really invested, and everyone really is concerned with how we do against Alabama, right? And that's like we could do however against Missouri, however against Vanderbilt, but it's about how'd you do against Alabama. And so I think taking that away, I mean, obviously it would make some changes and stuff. Whatever they end up designing to do is what they do. But I think that's one that should be preserved every year for the yearly matchup.
Is there one game, just as Jacob Warren, the individual, that is there one team you like beating, or you would most like to beat more than any other team, or how do you view it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously you approach the week the same every time. But I think for me, like Florida got it. Like that's the one game that in my head I'm like, wow, like I really, like I would just really like to beat these dudes. You know what I mean? Like when obviously you go into that every week, and that's not what I'm trying to say, but it's something different about Florida, I think, for me.
That's understandable. It's early in the year as well, which I think creates that anticipation, gives you something to think about. I know you're looking at the first opponents, but it's hard,
right?
Going way back to not think about Florida.
For sure, yeah, and that's like I mentioned, like all the games leading up to it are everyone are just as important. You know what I mean? They count towards your record, and that's you'll be remembered by that. But for sure, Florida is the one I'm looking forward to. They got to come up here this year, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
What's your favorite Tennessee? Going back to Tennessee, Alabama in that series, what's your first or maybe favorite moment, memory of that series? Either being in it or being maybe a young man and watching. Just kind of what do you remember from that series?
I think the biggest thing that stuck out to me, like, obviously 22 years old, and ever since I have been like able to remember, right, Alabama has been a pretty dominant force in college football in general. So like I've never actually seen Tennessee dominate Alabama in a way that I feel like I want to see, you know what I mean, and that I expect. So I think it was my first time, it was my first year traveling, so it must have been 2020 season, I guess. That was when we were at Alabama, right? No, 2019 season.
Yeah, 2019 when the Lane Kiffin year, the block by Mount Cody. No, you're talking about 2000.
I think it was
2019.
I was on the team, 2019.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And I was actually at Alabama. We were at the state, like at their place, and like gave them, you know what I mean, like really competed. I felt like, and it kind of came down to really just a couple of plays that kind of set that game apart. And so seeing that, I have a completely different like mentality on that rivalry every year because, you know what I mean, like no one. They also obviously have great talent, great players, a lot of depth, great coaches, but just seeing the fact that, you know, I mean, we were so close, and like if when we're watching film, if we can correct this, not make that mistake, not get that penalty, whatever it may be, the game's like totally different. And so now I'm able to approach that game. You know, as a competitor, I've always approached it as like, yeah, we can win. We can win any game. Like any like they put their pants on the same way, but like that truly kind of opened my eyes to see like they truly do put their pants on the same way. They make mistakes just like we do. So if we can capitalize on all of theirs and minimize however many we're making, you know, we're gonna have a shot to beat anybody. So I think that was a big moment, I guess, in that. If you want to talk about that rivalry, I guess for me.
Yeah, definitely. Year two under Josh Heupel, do you feel like defenses will be better prepared to handle the tempo?
Maybe, I don't know. It's it's one of those things like you can prepare for it all you want. Um, Leading up to the game, you know, the week of game prep for us, you can, you know, try to get your scout team to simulate our tempo. You can try to, you know, make the managers, the ball boys, whatever, spot the ball real quick and do all this stuff and try to simulate exactly how it's going to be. But I don't think anyone truly will be like prepared for it. Obviously, they'll expect it, but it's still going the same as it was this year. You know what I mean? Like all I'm trying to say, I think they'll expect and they'll know what's coming, but just a matter of whether they're able to adapt and to perform against it is a different thing.
I was wondering particularly. I was thinking about Alabama in particular because they run tempo. Nobody goes as tempo as you guys. Okay, so whenever I say tempo, realize I'm talking relative. So you guys are this fast. Everybody else is like. So they do run tempo on offense. So I'm sure they run high tempo in practice.
Yeah.
When you face teams like that, does it help them prepare, do you think? Do you see on the field that maybe they're more used to going against higher tempo?
Yeah, so Ole Miss is a good example, right? Because we played Ole Miss last year. Their offense is very similar to our offense because the coordinators have worked together. Our Heupel and their coordinator, like it's like the same family of offense, right? So going into that week, we knew Ole Miss obviously did what they did, but we knew that they would understand how to handle our tempo. Again, they chose to do it in a certain way. We won't get into that. We've talked about it before. But
Jacob's not saying it, but there may have been some cramping issues. I'm sorry, Jacob, go ahead.
For sure, right. Not enough Gatorade on the sidelines. But like teams like that understand because they go against their own team. Our defense is ready for anyone's tempo because we're one of the fastest teams in the country, right? So playing against it in fall camp, spring ball, a little bit during the season, whatever it may be, they're so used to the tempo that, you know, anyone can run tempo against us, and it's nothing compared to what our defense has seen. So I think that's an advantage for us. But I think for sure, like Alabama, the people that run the tempo offense where they're calling plays and trying to get the ball snapped are probably better prepared for a team like us than someone who sits back there, waits for a call or waits for a signal in a huddle and breaks the huddle with 10 seconds left on the clock and snaps. You know, I mean, I get that, and I can appreciate that offense because I'm sure they're much less tired than we are. But it's all just at the end of the day, it's all just playing the game. It's one-on-one matchups. If you're more tired than I am, I can run by you because you can't handle the 8th play of the drive and it's only been a minute and a half. Then that's good for us. So
that fatigue of your all's tempo.
Yeah.
I know we got kind of sidetracked on scheduling, but I'll get back to that. That fatigue on your all's tempo, does it affect teams more during a drive or at the end of the game or both?
I'd say both. So the thing with the tempo, right, is we're not subbing, so they can't sub. So all their big defensive linemen and stuff that they got in there, they're having to run. They might have just taken on a double team, and that's tiring in itself. And then they had to run down the ball, and then they come back and they're trying to get a signal from their sideline. They're looking over. They don't even have their hand in the ground, and we're already about to snap the ball. So that creates a lot of panic mentally. And so obviously whenever you're panicked mentally, when you're not locked in, when you're kind of like scrambling, then that just kind of leads to a whole nother load of issues. And then, now we're busting a big run and they've got to run down there and get set, get their call, but we already have our call. We're ready to roll. You know what I mean? It's just, it's a compiling thing where, they just we try to never give them a break. And that wears them down through a series or through one drive. Say one drive is, I've been in the drive where it's been 11, 12, 13 plays, right? And so all this is happening so quickly. It's hard for anybody to go 12, 13 plays in a row that fast, especially us. Like I'll be the first one to say, like, we all get tired. It's not like we're just out there not tired, but we understand that we're better conditioned than everyone else, and we're able to handle it and be able to continue to function mentally whenever our body's tired. So I think that's the biggest thing that people aren't used to, is being able to function while being extremely tired. And then doing it for four quarters is also another struggle in itself.
We visited Jacob Warren. The Vol Report brought to you by Vassy Lawn and Garden. Check them out. Toro, count on it. Quality and customer service. You can find it right there in beautiful Cleveland. Vassy Lawn and Garden. Click on them right here to learn more, whether it's blowers, edgers, trimmers, or the actual mower that you need. So, has there been one time that you're like, I'm too tired, I'm subbing out? I mean, I'm sure there has, but has there been times where you didn't want to come out, but you knew you had to because of the tempo, because of the length of the drive?
I mean, we have like a system for, letting people know, letting the coach know that we're tired. Like, hey, I'm tired, don't give me the ball. Or, hey, like, I need to get out as soon as possible. But that doesn't mean you can just sub out, right? We have our tempo going. So, like, I mean, I'm not going to talk to you like you don't understand, because you do. But for people who don't, if I sub out as an offensive player, if I run out of the game, then the referee is going to go stand over the ball, not let the ball be snapped until the defense gets a chance to substitute their people. So essentially that would ruin all of our tempo, because the ball would be dead. We can't snap it. We can't keep playing fast. So pretty much I just have to suck it up and keep going. Keep playing until there's a dead ball and the ball goes out of bounds, incomplete pass, touchdown, hopefully. That's usually what it is. You just have to go until we score. And then you're like, oh, finally. You go over and celebrate with your teammate, and then you run off the field and get water and sit down on the bench and just try to recover. But that's kind of
well, I'm sure you played defense in high school, right?
I played defense in high school a little bit. Not a whole lot, but my senior year I did.
Okay. Is it easier to play tired on offense than defense?
Well, see, that's the thing. It just depends. I guess if the offense knows a particular player is real tired, say it's a big old defensive lineman or something, and they just know that guy's getting worn out. Let's say it's a nose guard and he's lining up in the shade on the left. Like, I'm running right there every single time because I'm trying to exploit your weakness, right? He's super tired. I know he's tired. I'm going to continue to run the ball at him because he's tired. So there, it would really be terrible to be on defense, because now you're letting your team down, right? So I guess I don't know. But then on the other side, it takes all 11 guys on offense to be able to run a play, right? So if one of them's lacking, and if I'm tired and I miss my block and I'm the key block on a play, then the play goes nowhere. So I'd say it's probably pretty equal, I'd say.
What do you think about Texas and Oklahoma being in the SEC? I'll be honest with you, I'm still having trouble wrapping my head around that.
I mean, I think it'll be weird at first. People will forget at first, like, and be like, "Oh yeah, I forgot." Like that. Yeah, that's weird. That's
like
new.
Arkansas.
Yeah, right. Like, that's new. But after a while, now we all just kind of accept the fact that Arkansas is part of it now. And then after a couple of years, we'll all just accept the fact that Oklahoma and Texas are in it. So I think it's cool. Battle of the UTs. Who's the real UT? We'll see. I guess the time will tell. But I'm excited for the matchups. We get to play them and stuff. So obviously, I think that'll take place after I'll be gone. But
right. 2025, although some people have thought that Texas and Oklahoma might make an early jump. Just go ahead and get out of a bad relationship.
Right.
So, but we haven't heard of that yet. So it looks like you probably be going as a fan or a coach.
Right. Yeah, and I'll come back and watch some of them and see how it goes. But no, it's cool. I think it's SEC is the best conference in the nation. So everybody wants to be part of it. I understand that. So I mean, I think they're two good competitors, and they'll come in and throw a little wrench and everything. So we'll see how they fare and see how it works out.
Well, the other reason I ask is because with the SEC spring meetings going on in Destin, Florida, there has been conversation about going from 8 to 9 permanent SEC opponents.
Right.
So to me, the schedule's tough enough. I mean, there needs to be some patsies in there and maybe one non-conference opponent that you get excited about. And I say I'm talking about the fan base. That's my opinion. What is your opinion? To me, 9 would be too many to play. That's me.
Yeah, I mean, that's where – so it would be they add the 1 and then take out 1 non-conference.
Right. So you play the same number of games, but theoretically there'd be a step up in competition, I would think.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. But you know what I mean? Like it's the difference between playing South Alabama last year and then playing Texas last year when we played South Al. Like obviously you want that week, not to say it's a week off because it's not at all after I just talked about like every game is just as important because anyone can come in and win on any given Saturday, right?
Yep.
But I think, some games where if we're able to go out and execute, like the South Alabama game, we're able to go out and execute like we should. That also gives opportunities for all of our backups, all of our younger guys to get in and get reps, live reps, and give them opportunities to play. So I think that's a huge part of it too. You know what I mean? To say we add one more extremely competitive game, and that's just, 80 more reps on all of our starters versus our starters taking half the reps and then, everyone else being able to split up. I don't know. It's just, that's all also dependent on whether we actually take care of business in the first half or the first 3 quarters like we should against a team like South Alabama. But I don't know. Obviously, I'm not in a position to make the decision, but
I could see you being an athletic director at some point. After a successful NFL career and career as a kinesiologist, you're a smart, well thought out guy. I could see AD in your future.
Athletic director. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to add that to the list, see what I have to do to be able to do that. I feel like I'd have to have some kind of degree and education. I don't even know what you have to do to do that. But
well, it used to be you had to coach football, but that's going to change. You got to be more of a CEO now. So, But for Jacob Warren, I'm Dave Hooker. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you, Vassy Lawn and Garden. They bring you the Vol Report today. This is a production of Off the Hook Sports.